Um, Hi, everyone. I'm Mitra, or Ambarish Mitra. Really good to be here. This place has a lot of special memories, the event itself. 9 years ago, in the first augmented reality event, then it was called, not just AWE, me and my co-founder came to scout the landscape of AR to start our own company, which was Blippar. It was very encouraging because there were like only 7 companies then. So it's really, really awesome to be here and particularly to meet all of you. And it's very exciting times for everybody connected to the AR or extended reality ecosystem. So today, I'm going to talk about something that's exciting me and exciting all of us, and have been seeding the seeds of it for a while, is what's going to happen next in AR. And we all know that we still haven't had that usage of all the time on, and the AR industry always gets that question that, okay, I've seen a few things here and there. So I think it's a build-up, and we are there. And part of the conversation is going to be slightly philosophical, and then at the end, we would give some live demos and show you what we are working on right now. So just to give you a background, in case you guys don't know who Blippar is, we are an AR platform, and our mission is to democratize AR, make it very accessible and usable for everyday people, not just programmers or coders. And we believe augmented reality is going to be a ubiquitous medium, and it requires something like the WordPress for it. And we, as a mission, we're trying to be one of those players. I wanted to show the picture of Darwin here because we, as a company, we've gone through several iterations of our own evolution. And we've been trying to do a lot of very interesting things, all the way from the early days of image recognition and tracking technology, doing some work in visual positioning, gyro, location-based, then moving into our own SDK, then trying our gig at wearable devices. Whichever trend came in AR, we were trying to do because we believe that this particular medium is very natural to humans. We in our everyday lives we see things, and everyday life we like to experience things, and the world is three-dimensional. But so far, an incredible evolution of internet technologies, and particularly still the primary interface of consumption of content is somehow rectangular squares, with some has URL bars or some kind of applications. It's very flat, and ultimately, in this evolution, we believe that content would be consumed in 3D. But no one player can do it alone. And that's why it's quite important I was focusing on Darwin here. Because even like one of the foundations of many technologies in our lives is the printing press. That's where first time distribution of information became mainstream, which the credit goes to Johannes Gutenberg from Germany, who created what we knew to become the modern printing press, which is actually the smelted metal alphabet shape, laid out in a structure which you could put ink on it, and then you have malleable paper. Independently, all these technologies existed. When now we look at forensically, China had created porcelain smelters, which wood could still print, except somehow the Chinese characters and Korean characters were not, they were a lot more larger and graphic, so they didn't have the alignment to put it laid out in a way which could make printing press at that point in 11th century. But 3 centuries later, Gutenberg could do it because metallurgy had gone through a lot more advancement, and generally we are all sitting on shoulders of each other's innovation. So I'm a very big believer that each one of has incredible ideas, but as an ecosystem, we are heavily interdependent, and sometimes it's very difficult to predict which way, when you're developing a tech or developing a behavior change, can go. If I can give you more examples that we are so appreciative of so many companies like Facebook and Snapchat and the incredible stuff they've done on the tech side of things. But imagine Facebook without innovation of JPEG as an image format. Optimization of JPEGs on a 2G, 3G network is a very big contributor to people sharing photographs, which became fundamental seed of social networking. And of course, there are several other benefits around it, but this was quite a fundamental seed. And including, I don't think companies like Snapchat would become a phenomena in everyday video sharing with a lot of graphics if 4G didn't exist, or camera resolutions didn't reach a point where you'll be able to render incredible graphics. So if you look at any point in history, I like to, before we go into AR in slightly more detail, paint that actually in any given time, and let's just presume here are we all from the wider internet, media, tech industry, there are always three evolutions taking place. One is, of course, the evolution of ideas, and this is just a summary, where the first generation was all about communication, just telling people information. And the second generation was more like people-to-people, sharing information. And the third generation is actually combining the two, where everybody can sell everybody and give everybody services in a very IoT connected world. While this is happening, this is not because we're looking at this from an idea perspective. There's also an evolution of actual hardware, where we can all think of tech stack as an idea, but we forget that someone has to build a processor, someone's building a cloud for it, someone's building an incredible camera, and when we collectively look at it, someone has a breakthrough in their garage or living room to build that idea. So again, same evolution is happening where you've got Internet of Places, because this was pretty much connecting computers around the world and sharing information. Then the post-2000 became about Internet of People. Following that in 2010, post sort of early birth of social network era was the Internet of Things, where your smartwatches and interconnected devices and your smart fridges and the smart ovens, all the smart stuff kicked in. And what we are now beginning to see, which is a bit connected to the future of three-dimensional internet, is the wearable devices, which is going to be either head-mounted or many other form factors. And we are not yet seeing the kind of traction which will make us very optimistic. But I'm being a predictor, a futurist here, which I feel because of the ecosystem maturity, we still haven't reached there. And I'll dive a little bit deeper into that, what I mean by that in the ecosystem maturity. But one general trend is also the Internet of Experience, because we can create as much, but its behavior is changing. Yes, people were consuming pictures before in the mid-90s anyway, and then the post-2000s till now, it became all about animations. But of course, as I said earlier, all that amazing stuff is still flat, and we will experience where we will reach a point a lot more believable, rich content, which I guess is a a common excitement for everybody attending AWE. But timing is, of course, critical. But can you really get the timing right? I mean, I'm being a bit philosophical here. It's like a bit like conveyor belt of life, and you could be at the right place, right time, and you start one journey doing something. I don't know if you guys know a very infamous but famous company, General Magic, which was started in the early 80s. It's usually called the world's most important, least known company, where like 30, 40 people started this idea to have a portable device. This is pre-internet. Have a portable device which will have a camera, and it'll connect to a global network to share information, which is, of course, internet. And there'll be a central messaging system to communicate on a daily basis, which would be something like WhatsApp or Messenger. And there'll be people won't just exchange words, they will have emoticons. And the list goes on, and they had an idea of App Store, but this was 1980s. The company went public and then went bust. They had the first prototype ready, and then, of course, they had a hard time, then they disappeared from the face of history. But just so you know, 35 of around 50 people, employees of those company, have created companies like the Android was an employee. The iPod came out of Tony Fadell, who was the intern in that business. The upgraded Mac operating system, Cisco, the list goes on. I mean, if you look at today's entire internet infrastructure, which connects billions of people, there was many brainchilds in that business. So even if you put like $10 billion before timing is right, it will be squandered. So getting the timing is an element of fate and being in the right place, right time. But I am predicting that there are enough evidences today happening to prove that AR is about to scale. And a tremendous amount of encouragement I get is because I think AR had to go beyond the apps. And as much as we want to be futuristic, the phones are still in our hands, very relevant. And we need to give people an idea and real use cases how to use it already today, beyond just trying face masks and things like that. So what are the big trends that is shaping up that gives me this conviction? I mean, we've now reached a point where cameras are absolutely phenomenal. And you have depth sensors. We can understand a layout of the room if you write a good software on top of it. Another really important change happening is graphics engines are becoming really light, so that you can now load things really fast on an internet connection, which wasn't possible. You had to preload everything, and you need to have a pre-installed software. So from a cloud graphics point of view, it's a lot more effective. Also, a really, really big change is the browsers itself are beginning to support some basic level 3D content, because the browsers had to, and companies like Google and Apple are massively investing in that. Behavior is also from experience, where behavior is already changing, where it's said that Snapchat is like one of the most used cameras in the world, and I believe that, and so is Instagram. And the elements of AR, which are, of course, slightly gimmicky in nature, but it is still communicating to billions of users in an audience that there is a creative medium where you can express yourself very differently rather than just taking a photo of yourself. And that's their first dig at it. And I think we shouldn't over dismiss it. I think it was incredible what some of these larger companies have done to get the experience and the word out there, because that brings familiarity, and that really brings behavior changes, where now an user would demand that as a minimum. But there's still some way to go. I mean, just so you know that also in the two-dimensional space, there is a certain quality people are used to, which if the three-dimensional space on your head-mounted or on your phone devices doesn't match up to, you can't like go backward. You have to always go forward. So if someone looks at a picture of a sofa on the web beautifully, and then you said, now you can have this picture, in this sofa in your living room placed in AR or VR, and if that sofa doesn't render nowhere near as a real-world quality, in a way, though, as technically we've taken a step forward from a consumer, it can be very frustrating. Why is the brand not buying it? Why are they not using it? From a consumer's expectation, literally the graphics side has to evolve a lot more than just slam technology, which you are very excited about, and you manage to place a sofa in a random living room. So always a wider ecosystem has to grow, and then if your business is in the right place, right time, which I think many of AR companies for the next 5 years will see, and we'll see a lot of incredible outcomes. I did mention 5G, and I wanted to keep it separate, because I think this is going to be the greatest gift to augmented reality ever. Because I feel today's internet is too boring for 5G. I press something and it loads immediately, and it's the same stuff. And almost like I have so much speed and I'm not getting enough back. You know how 4G and Snapchat were made for each other, because if you run Snapchat on 3G and 2G, you would not be a regular user of it. So 5G has all the ingredients for incredible real-time, without boiling or melting your phone experiences, which will start literally a new generation of entrepreneurs. I mean, I'm super hopeful that even sitting or standing in this room, there's no way I can predict that these are the 3 ideas that's going to shape the world. We cannot predict what the 3 ideas are going to be, but they're not going to be anything like Instagram or Snapchat or Facebook. I'm super confident of that in every 10-year macro technology cycles, a completely new communication or inspiration or storytelling medium is born, which blows our minds away and in a way becomes totally normal for everyday use. But the prediction is that it's certainly going to be 3D. It's definitely going to be some level of cross-compatible smart browsers, which in a way is a good news, because today browsers are the only sort of technology that unifies all devices. Otherwise, everybody has their own standard platform, which don't talk to each other. So things happening on the browser is very, very encouraging. So I'll go back to slightly to some use cases. I mean, this is general knowledge that a lot of the large tech players are investing in AR ecosystem. As you guys know, this is very good and encouraging sign for the industry as a whole, because they're doing a way bigger job of communicating to the masses. It's already having some level of commercial impact. We as a company, we're quite experienced with that. And everything I'll show you here is done in-house using our web AR technology and some use cases. So this is, face tracking is something we have to do. It's a lot in demand for various reasons. And this is another one where, a well-known cosmetics company called SK2 showing users how to apply a cream more effectively than before. And there are several other examples, but I would prefer to show you guys a live demo. But as you can see on the top of the browser, that they are all web-based experiences. That's the key here, that able to render and recognize and then show someone. And why that is important is web is universal, right? Like I can capture this table and in 3D and WhatsApp it to someone or LinkedIn to someone, and they can click on it and then can experience this very three-dimensional object without having to download any app. And for me, I think that was the single biggest bottleneck of AR, and no single AR app became that ubiquitous. And I think probably they will make a comeback through another way or through some head-mounted devices. But right now, for the next 3 to 4 years, distribution of AR content and people able to create AR content very easily, how they have done in the previous generations of technology, would be really key, and then web will play a pretty big role in that. So this is another example of a well-known American brand, public sector brand called United States Postal Service, and they are using web AR to tell an internal training story for internal purposes. But just to give you an idea that this is so much more easier to make than ask everybody, like first of all, have an app team create an app, then ask everybody to download an app. And we are seeing from a client's perspective a lot more appetite towards doing this because people know the web already. Last example, before I give you some other showcases of the future. So we are definitely predicting that in future for augmented reality to go beyond just image recognition and marker recognition, objects will play a very big role because the world is full of incredible objects. And how can you exactly wrap or render amazing graphics around an exactly clearly shaped car or a clearly shaped bottle or a clearly shaped clothing? I think there's some work to be done there. I think when users will see AR experiences, not just virtual objects being placed in a real room, but everything real in the room converting into something more. It's like if I become something else, but exactly rendered to all the way to my edges, or my, I don't know, like Vauxhall Corsa car just becomes Ferrari, but edge to edge. So if I can transform the world I see, not just place the virtual world in my room, I think this will play a very big role in also growth of AR, and I think users will need some more advanced tools to reach there. So okay, I'm going to skip this and go straight to a demonstration today, and to show you that some of the stuff I'm showing and something even more exciting, what we are working on right now. So let me take this away and open my browser. So this is our self-service tool called Lippar Builder. This is just, as I was saying, it's like the WordPress of AR. It's an AR creation tool. It's agnostic to where you want to publish it into, whether ARKit or AR Core or wearable devices or the web. It's a creation tool where you can create a scene, create multiple scenes, create a very complex story or a simple story without any coding knowledge, and you can then publish it and consume it on the web. So here, we already have worked on one scene because time is too short to create a new one. We've had this tool for a while. Those of you know our business from the past. The big change here is this very rich graphical interface. Anything you create, very soon, we're going to do the public beta release in 2 weeks' time. You'll be able to publish this straight on the browser and try everything for yourself. So as you can see, it's like a completely WYSIWYG tool. You have a lot of shapes and sizes, and all these are three-dimensional content, 3D assets, which you can color, render, change shape, skin in any way, even skin it with your own photos. Then you've got, for everything you choose, there'll be a right side menu here, acts as a toolbar to change, like how you used to Adobe or a Microsoft PowerPoint product, every asset you choose in the scene. But this is a scene which you could upload your own assets or use ready-made assets. So here, it's a cloud-based solution. It works on the web. And here, all the assets uploaded with this particular story has been placed. So now, I'm going to just show, I'm going to make some small changes and show it to you. So this particular turtle, I want to replace it with a new one, a more three-dimensional one. So we've now placed it, and I'm going to change a few dimensions here. And then I just pressed the publish button. So immediately after I publish it, I can publish it globally, or I can publish it into an SDK, or actually straight on the web. And now I can try this live. So I have to change the screen, sorry. I can now try this live straight on the phone. You'll see it on my phone, this very experience. So if I can shift to the mobile phone, please. Okay, you can see I'm on the camera, and it's asking me to open this very experience. It's asking me to allow. So this is loading on the web, and this was the rendering, and we can even see it in a bigger way. This was the rendering of that very scene. Why we chose plastics, I'm running out of time, otherwise I would have shown you a demo where I can even point my phone at an actual plastic bottle, and this would have triggered when I was talking about object tracking and recognition. So here it's telling you a story from any plastic bottle that environmental consciousness, how we are in a way ruining our planet with some of our bad practices. And also it'll show you that how beautiful the world could have been. So if we go to the world of turtles, this is a scene of scene stitching. So the scene you saw on the Blippar Builder program, you could connect it from one scene to another. So now we've completely gone into a brand new scene. And you can see it's translucent, so we can still see the curtains in the room. And you can see this stingray, the beautiful rendering of this. This whole room has been transformed into an underwater experience. But at the same time, it's holding position from where I am standing. And also, you can make it transparent or translucent. So I can see you guys from the back of the room. And you can make the experiences so rich. There are more than 30, 40 3D assets right here. I mean, it's a pretty large scene. And you can experience each one of them. As you can see, I'm just following this very small turtle right here, walking from my foot, going on the other side. And this whole thing could have been means you can create it today and publish it on the web and consume it on multiple form factors, any instrument, anything that supports the web. So just to give you a quick summary here. So this was the scene which we actually went to when I clicked on the turtle world. You could see that from first scene, I could stitch it back to the second scene. So if I zoom out slightly, this was the underwater world. And you can even have a 3D view. if I press the 3D view, you can actually see this on you can actually see this on 3D, how it would have looked like when you're actually programming it. And this, all of this, you can like manually drag and drop and create incredible web AR experience. So I'm very optimistic and excited about future of AR. I think initially web will bring scalability. 5G will change all our lives, and hope some of you come up with incredible ideas to show us the way how to use 5G more optimally. Wish you all the best, and thank you very much.